Morning.
uh,
Um,
Not here.
okay, so
So,
we'll start in a while.
okay, no problem. We're already live. I see that.
Good evening, everyone. It's a delight to have you all here for the episode 10 of the Lady Baazigar series. Teaching is more than imparting knowledge, it is inspiring change. Learning is more than absorbing facts, it is acquiring understanding. This was remarked by William Arthur Ward, and no more than Ayushi knows this better. Every year, a girl goes to school can increase her future income by 10% according to the UNICEF. In India, nearly 40% of adolescent girls aged between 15 to 18 do not have access to any kind of schooling. About 30% of girls from the poorest families have never set a foot inside a classroom. Ensuring that girls become educated is a multifaceted undertaking, and we sure are one of the stakeholders. Through this Lady Bazigar series, Project Korea aims at inspiring young girls to be educated and empowered. Now I would like to brief all of you about sarkarischool.in and Project Korea. Sarkari School is an initiative of We Citizens Foundation, a think tank that provides a platform to highlight the hard work of individuals in the field of school education, uplifting the future of younger generations and those who are not related to government or any organization but are helping the neglected strata of the Indian society. These peculiar innovators redefine the field of education with a lot of self determination and hard work and thus deserve recognition. Sarkari School works on featuring unsung people who are underrated in the society and give a platform to those who have worked for betterment of government schools with a holistic point of view. Individuals who genuinely help government schools and underprivileged kids should have a voice and proper appreciation for their dedication and hard work. Coming to Project Korea, gender inequality has been experienced worldwide for ages. Though it has decreased over time, still girls face many kinds of discrimination. The primary aspect in terms of gender equality has been experienced in education, as I mentioned, that about 40% of the adolescent girls aren't able to access even the basic schooling. Our project aims at increasing the enrollment ratio of girls in elementary and primary education. We help the government institutions to build a safe learning space by spreading awareness and organizing donation drives. This project envisions reducing the poor sex ratio in the classroom and supporting the little girls' Koreas to follow their dreams. Moving ahead, I would like to welcome you all and Ayushi for sparing her time from her busy schedule. And thank you so much for gracing your presence here. So I would like to introduce her to all of you. She is a Teach for India fellow and a passionate educator who teaches English and social studies in an all boys 10th grade school at Kashmir Gate. Before the fellowship, she had completed her bachelor's in English literature from the prestigious Lady Shri Ram College for Women, University of Delhi. Thank you so much, ma'am, for gracing the event with your presence. Without further ado, I'm sure all of us are excited to hear from you. I'm thrilled to moderate the session today, and we would love to hear more about you, your journey, your experience with Teach for India, and what are your future plans. Firstly, how are you looking forward for this episode today?
I am beyond elated and very curious to know about what are we going to interact and what sort of questions you might be asking and what basically are we targeting to put forward to the young generation, especially girls that might be looking up upon who might be looking forward to become like one of us, who might be aspiring to become educators, who might work in the education sector. And also, thank you for the warm welcome and a very, very nice introduction.
Thank you, ma'am. So basically, Lady Bazigar series has this aim that we have to inspire, basically motivate the young girls, and we present the stories of many girl icons or the girls who are currently pursuing, or have completed their education. Mostly young ones because they could more relate to them, and they could have very genuine career advices as well. So, firstly, I would like to hear the synopsis of your whole journey from being school to pursuing bachelor's in education. How did you end up being with Teach for India?
That's a very interesting story, and I'm very feeling very delighted to share it with all of you and for such a beautiful cause. Um, I'll go back to my college days. I was pursuing my English honors from Lady Shri Ram College, and I was also a member of the NSS National Service Scheme, under which I was working with an NGO based in Kalkaji, and was teaching 30 to 40 elementary kids who were like just 5 to 6 year olds, and some of them were like 10 or 11. And I used to teach them English, SSC, math, science, everything. So from there on, I realized I really loved teaching, especially with kids who needed the resources the most, who needed well trained educators, who deserved an excellent education as an opportunity that would be given to them. And but perhaps this realization was within and not so much extrinsic, because I went ahead to pursue my masters after completing my bachelor's. Now there's a twist in the story. While I was pursuing my masters, the first semester of my masters was happening in an online mode, of course, given the COVID scenario. And I happened to volunteer because I had a lot of time on my hands. So classes would get over early, and I had a lot of time on my hands. So I wanted to um, contribute to the society and also work towards something that would help me upskill myself and learn something new. So I happened to volunteer in a Teach for India classroom, the very same classroom that I'm teaching right now as a fellow. And I just loved my experience as a volunteer. I mean, I don't know what shifted inside me. I really can't put it into words, perhaps concrete words, but something about being able to work with kids and see the impact that we are able to make, and also make sure that we are taking everyone with ourselves while we are walking towards the while we are walking towards to eliminate educational inequity. And that's how I quit my masters to join the fellowship. It was a long journey, of course, given my parents were not very positive about me quitting masters initially, but somehow when they saw the passion, when they saw the cause I was working for, they came around and they really accepted. And right now, I am teaching in the very same classroom I started as a volunteer who used to take remedial class and used to call kids up and just keep a check on how they were doing, and what they were struggling with and what they needed help with. And right now, I'm turned into a full-fledged fellow. And I teach 41 boys. In my first year of fellowship, I was teaching 91 boys, English to 91 adolescents, that too. Right now, I'm teaching English and SST to 41 of them.
Well, that's a beautiful story, and you never
You
know
never
where
know
you
when
end
you
up.
Yeah.
Uh, Moving ahead,
Moving ahead.
how has your experience been with Teach for India?
Okay, that's a pretty broad question. How my experience has been with Teach for India. So I think there is no single evidence that I can give you to say that my experience has been full of learnings. And it's just not learnings that I can quantify and maybe put on an Excel sheet and document. I think it's learning beyond that. It's more about the kind of qualities that I've learned from my kids. I always thought I'm going to be in this classroom and I'm going to teach them, but perhaps I feel I learn every day from them. Just the grit that they have, and that they operate with, the level of perseverance, because the amount of challenges that they face every day, I guess, I guess it's something that we do not always realize, that we do not always tend to understand, given the difference in the context we are coming from. Um, but I think my experience with Teach for India has been amazing. It has been full of learnings. I think I've learned to become an individual who takes a lot of ownership of what they want to do. I I think we have a lot of autonomy in the sense that we design our own classrooms, how we want them to be. We co-create that with our students. We take in students along with this journey, and we are not here to just impart knowledge, like you said. We take our kids with ourselves. We try to create an inclusive environment, perhaps where students can also give inputs. And I think it's one of the best things that I've observed across Teach for India classroom. It's the ability the students have to give their inputs. It's the opportunity that they get, and I think that experience in itself has been amazing, and a lot of professional development for me. A lot.
You must have grown as a person as well, and into a more humane and a beautiful person
Yeah.
for sure.
What?
So, so when you decided that you would be a fellow at Teach for India like full time and not pursuing your masters alongside, so it must have been really difficult for to convince your parents.
Yeah.
How has that been? And are they now satisfied totally with you?
I think they are, but they don't want to show it always. But I think they see me working, they see the kind of things we are doing in our classroom, because it's not like I keep it to myself. I really like sharing what I've done, what are things going on in my life regarding my work also. I love sharing that with my parents. And I think it's very important for them also to know, because it's when I was growing up, or when I was not a Teach for India volunteer also. But I had some experience working in the social sector because of NSS and whatever I had done in school as part of my community service projects. But that was very limited. What Teach for India gave me was a broader understanding of not just educational inequities, but so many of them that come along with it when you come from a background that is underserved and under resourced. So I think that, and well, it was not very easy for me to perhaps say that I was able to convince them at once, because I remember when I told them, and I never told them that I applied for the fellowship. So that is one thing. I was enrolled in the master's course, and I just went ahead and applied. And luckily, that was the last cycle of applications that were open. And I applied for it, and I got through all the stages one by one, one by one, one by one. And when I received the mail that you have been selected as a fellow, that's when I sent a screenshot to my parents and said, "Hey, I applied for this and I've gotten through it. And I really, really want to do this. I do not see myself pursuing masters right now. That doesn't mean that I won't in future, but I think my passion lies somewhere else right now. And I believe in this, and I really, really enjoyed my time as a volunteer. Imagine the level of fun and learning that I'm going to have when I become a fellow." And yeah, I think at first they were like, "No, you can't quit masters. I mean, you're talking about quitting masters, that too from Delhi University. Like it's a big deal. You got through the entrance, you got through your merit list, and you just now can't quit it altogether." And I only had one thing in my mind, saying that I don't see myself letting go of the fellowship opportunity. I can see myself letting go of the master's opportunity for now, also because I didn't see much learning happening for me there, especially when we were doing it in an online mode. I saw that I was not really learning in a way that I used to when I was a graduate student. And I felt like I had the time and the age, because I could be an asset to an organization that relentlessly works towards this cause. And it takes in, I think it takes a lot of courage and a lot of your time. You have to invest a lot of your time in your fellowship. And I think that was my argument to them, that I'm young. I am young. I will be able to do this now. And it's now or never for me. And I just had to convince them. I used to wake up every day and give them points like, "See, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I will get out of this fellowship. These are the kind of experience I will get." And every day it used to be like, you can pursue your masters together as well as the fellowship. And while um, I think that might be a possible solution, I I was aware of the fact that you had to be committed to your classroom all the time, and it is not easy to juggle the both. And I not even for a second wanted to, ignore the needs of my classroom when I was pursuing my masters. So I finally convinced them. It took 2 to 3 months, I guess. And when they saw my trainings happening, my sessions happening, and when they saw my online classes happening, that's when they were a little settled. And now when they see me relentlessly working towards so many things, so there are so many other things we do at Teach for India as a fellow, I think somewhere deep down inside they have realized that this is the sector that I've chosen for myself. And yeah, it was not easy at all, but
So when while you were in school and you were doing your undergrad, before volunteering with Teach for
Yeah,
India? Did you wanted to did you want to be a teacher in the very first place?
that's also a very interesting question because like I said, I never really imagined it that way. It was always inside me. So I used to be that kid who was always teaching their students, sorry, who was always teaching their friends before an examination, who was always somehow working in projects that were related to teaching kids. So in my school also, when I was a fifth grader, I was teaching some kids from an under-resourced background as part of the, I guess, some Shiksha um, abhiyan that was happening in my school at that time. And then just being a part of the community club, and I visited orphanages, visited like old age homes. So somehow I felt like my life came in a full circle when I joined the fellowship. I was able to join the dots that, oh, I mean, maybe this is why ever since I was a kid, I don't know why somehow I was landing up in situations, and I was always working with a particular set of people because that's where my passion lied. But if I have to give you like an honest answer, I never really thought I would be a teacher, right? And while I say that, I also didn't have anything else in my mind. I was very much confused, as it is very evident. We are all confused in our lives, and I was very confused when I was in my graduation as to what I want to do after completing my bachelor's in literature, and and yeah, like this idea of teaching was always there. That yeah, I can always pursue my B.Ed after this and become a teacher for English and all of that, but that never occurred to me. I was always looking for something, that would go beyond the mainstream, that would at some level impact somebody. I never wanted to work uh, in a setup where I was not able to impact others. So I think from somewhere that motivation of wanting to work with people whom I can impact and they can also impact me, and the entire circle comes in. I think from there on, I realized I wanted to be a teacher, but my volunteering experience with Teach for India has to be the stepping stone, the
Turning.
milestone that I was looking for in my
Yeah.
life for sure. It was a turning point.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good to hear. And it's an amazing feeling when you do something not for yourself. And with kids, it's always fun. It's most of it. It's they are annoying sometimes, but it's fun as well. We have many community service projects and internships, like we are encouraged to do so, as serving as teacher volunteer with many foundations. We have Pratham Education Foundation and all, so it's fun. But yeah, it was half our time was pandemic, so we were teaching, and like in online classes they would type something, ma'am, where are you from? You're so young. What have you
Yeah,
studied and all? Like they ask a lot of questions, and okay, they do waste sometimes. How do you tackle all those? And boys though, like, and that too, like grade 10. Wow, hats off to you.
yeah. I get that a lot when I interact with people, and when they hear you teach 10th grade, you are yourself so young. How do you manage them? Do they listen to you? I don't think they listen to you, man. I'm like, no, but like we've been trained that way, and also I feel like when you ask the question, like if I've ever known that I wanted to be a teacher, while I didn't know that I was destined to be a teacher, that teacher was always inside me. And I think I have that kind of a presence in a classroom, the voice in a classroom that can command attention, that can be assertive and at the same time be interactive and friendly also. I really resonate with what you said about online classrooms and students writing many kinds of things on the chat. That used to happen in our classes also. I think during the pandemic, the chat box became their idea of school, perhaps because they missed that environment where they could sit together on a bench and just chit chat. That chat box was the school for them where they used to interact. So while sometimes it used to get a little difficult to manage, but I felt like yeah, they needed to have that moment also because they have not been in touch with their friends and they were locked inside homes. And while the pandemic and the lockdown was difficult for almost all of us mentally, I think our kids, they were suffering not just emotionally, mentally, but also with in terms of in like financial things and other kind of resources that they needed. So I felt like that chat box was their safe space to vent out, to share their emotions. So I sometimes let it be. I was like, okay, let them do it. It's okay. Maybe one class or twice you can do it. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, we had a brilliant training session, a 9 week rigorous training session, and we were taught how to manage online classrooms, how to create that kind of a culture in an online classroom where learning also happens. While learning did happen, I would not say that it was not challenging. It was very challenging. It was very challenging to actually make kids turn their videos on and just to know that they're there, that they haven't just joined in and slept. Um, so that is also one thing that I faced, and I quite resonate with what you said.
Well, what has been the
Yeah.
biggest challenge for you being a Teach for India fellow?
Oh, that's again a broad question because as a fellow we experience so many challenges that are life changing, and I think I can't think of one because just when you said, I just so many of them popped up. But I think if I have to be very honest, it's about uh, being a fellow. My biggest challenge has been to actually be there for each and every child. So when we are saying I'm a Teach for India fellow and I work with these kids, these are my kids. We fellows are very used to calling our kids like these are my bachas, these are my kids. And while we say that and while we try our best to address the issues and needs of all our kids, sometimes it becomes very difficult. You have 40 kids in your classroom, and 40 kids might be having different kinds of needs, like each of them might have different needs. Perhaps that becomes very difficult, and sometimes some of the problems are quite heartbreaking, and it's a kind of reality that every time you think, okay, maybe this is something that I've learned. This is something I didn't know about people coming from under resource background. I didn't know they were actually suffering from. And then a new challenge arises, and you realize, oh, they go through this as well every day. And I think that becomes very challenging because sometimes it's emotionally very, uh, sometimes difficult for us also to process as in what's happening. And sometimes you feel just helpless as to what can I do? How can I help? And sometimes there is no answer, right? And I think that is the most challenging part that I feel, it's addressing the needs and just being there for the kids, just making sure that we are there emotionally for them while realizing that the attempt to solve the problems might be there, even if we can't really solve the problem. The attempt has to be there.
That's really nice of you. And it's, you just keep going and you overcome your challenges with gradual time because that's the passion. And we need more teachers like you who are teacher by choice.
Yeah.
Many of our, even our teachers are like they wanted to be something else, but they end up being teacher. Because in India, you have schools, but somewhere we are lacking in quality education, though. And there's sometimes we feel that mostly in government schools, we feel there is a lack of will from the teacher side, and we need some passionate teachers, and they're the younger ones who are understanding, like you said that you used to give them leverage thoda in chat box, and then they used to went out there during pandemic. So we need such understanding teachers, and a great job you're doing as well.
Thank you.
uh, I would like to ask that who was your support when you decided that you would be pursuing this fellowship?
Whoa.
Who supported you, like?
I think my mom, like my mother, she stood like a rock, and she was like, if she wants to do it, she was telling my father outright, like, if she wants to do it, you gotta let her do it. Like she wants to do it. Why are you saying that she can't? Because she wants to do it, and it's ultimately going to be her work life, her passion. So it ultimately has to be her decision. And like she was an inspiration. My mom was also a teacher. Um, so I think somewhere that also came in. However, she left in between, but I think that I think was genetically, I've received that from her. I've inherited that from her. And I mean, my friends, they were incredibly supportive of me. They knew that I was applying for the fellowship. And especially, I have to talk about one of my co fellows last year. She graduated out of TFI now, Shagun, and she was actually my class friend from LSR from like college days, and we used to be a group. And like while she applied for the fellowship right after completing the graduation, I was going ahead with my masters. Little did I know that one day she'd just say like, "Hey, I need some volunteers in my classroom. Would you be interested? Or do you know people who might be interested?" And that voice note, I never thought that voice note had the ability to change my mind and my life. And I said, "Yes, I am free. I am so free. I'm as free as an elf. Please um take me in your classroom. Let me do this. It would be fun also, and I would learn something new. Plus, I think I have a lot of time on my hands. I'm quite." So she said, "Okay, let's great. That's great. Then I have my friend also coming in," and that was the time when she started showing me. We used to observe her classes, and I used to sit there. I was like, "Wow! I mean, people can teach like this also." And since I am also coming from a very conventional school setup where teachers used to come and they used to tell us what to do, and everything used to be written down on the blackboard, or we were supposed to mark in the books, and that's it. And I saw her and I was like, wow, like what is this classroom, and how is this happening? Where does she know how to do, like how did she get to know that we can teach geography in this way, or that you can teach about the queer movement and the pride walk in the revolutionary movements in as a part of history. And I was blown away by that. And I think she also motivated me a lot to apply for the fellowship. And I told her that, "Hey, I saw you. I volunteered myself also in your classroom, and now I think like it's time for me to just go ahead and apply for the fellowship." And she stood by me and she said, "Yes, you should definitely do it, and I would help you." And she helped me a lot with like clarity upon how to apply for it and the application essays and everything. So yeah, I think I have to say my parents, like my father, did come around a little later, but my mother was always very supportive and like a solid back I had of my friends. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need support, you need someone's backing. It's
Oh,
really important because being undergraduate myself, we are doubting ourselves every day. I'm so uncertain ki, okay, what I'm gonna do after my graduation ends. And
yeah.
secondly, like you are being part of Teach for India, and many of the young girls watching this, they're mostly school going. So I would love to hear from you that what's about this and how do they fundraise, because they have to give salaries to their teachers, to the fellows, and have they changed? Like they have changed from the conventional method of teaching, like you were saying that your friend was teaching in different way.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so first of all, I think Teach for India, it's fundraising, maybe part of it, but it's mostly a big brand also. Teach for India has, I think in 2009, it started with a small cohort of fellows, and now it's in like 8 different cities in India. And we have donors, of course, we have donors, and Godrej and I guess Maxwell Foundation and all of them. So we have donors, and that's how each donor is mapped to a classroom and to fellows, perhaps, and that's how the entire system works. And in terms of the instructional way that we use to impart knowledge that you were referring to, so yeah, we believe in making a mix of everything while we are teaching. So we understand that in a classroom, students might not just look in the textbooks and learn. There are students who learn in an audiovisual way, students who learn by doing, students who learn because they need to practically experience it first or need to have some examples, some real life connections. So at Teach for India, we keep that in mind that when we are saying excellent education, we really want to make education excellent. We really want to make it an experience for them so that when they learn, they really learn it not just for the sake of academics and scoring, right? But because that is helpful in life and because that is going to be somewhere down the line useful to them in the real world out there. And that not only just focuses on English, SST, math, science, Sanskrit, Hindi, not just that, but goes beyond and helps them develop into individuals who have confidence, who have kindness, who want to become leaders in the future. And it doesn't have to be leader in the sense that you have to become like a minister or something, but a person who inspires others, and just takes on other people along with them and walks towards a movement. And I think that's how we envision excellent education, and that's how when we plan a lesson, we try and make it not just interesting for them to ki ha hame interesting banana hai, because it has to be simple for them, simple enough for them to understand. That is not the motive. Our motive is it should be relevant for them. They should feel that I'm studying this and this is helpful. They should not feel that why are we studying this, how is it going to help me down the line. So when I used to be a kid, I hated maths a lot, and I used to fear maths a lot. I have had maths phobia. And every time I used to solve trigonometry or algebra questions, and I used to think like, where am I going to use it? Um, how is this going to help me? And I think that is what we as fellows are trying to um, address in our classrooms, that this is how you can teach this particular thing, and this is how they can connect it to the real world and see why learning about this is going to be helpful, why it's relevant, why it's practical, and it's just not bookish knowledge and not just for marks. So yeah, I mean, if we are reading about Napoleon, we might as well read about any other Indian ruler we have read about or studied about earlier, and we would try making connections. Or maybe somebody we know from our area we live in, who has a very good command and is a community leader, perhaps, who is a committee member, maybe. And we would try and associate characteristics that you can see. Napoleon had the ability to grab attention and just be an amazing leader. You have seen so many people around yourselves like that, yeah. So I think that is how we go ahead with the teaching, and that is what the basic idea of education is at TFI.
It's really wonderful to know. And I don't have any idea about it, but so do they place you fellows in the government school classrooms, right?
So basically, government schools and low income private schools.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but there, we were trying to do a survey in the government schools of Delhi, and they're kind of strict towards, like, they don't want any intervention.
Yeah.
So how how does it just the system goes in?
I mean,
But
it's a
there
lot.
are teachers those are employed for teaching those kids. Like, how would they allow you to teach them essay? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think when Teach for India intervenes in a classroom or in a school, first of all, this is a question that a government relations officer at Teach for India would be able to answer better. But I mean, we bring in data, of course. We are backed by data. When we are saying we are trying to make leaders, we are trying to build confident individuals, we are also backed by data. How we are making excellent education also available for students in a low income private school or government school. When government relations people walk in, they talk to school. Of course, there's a lot of back and forth that happens when they are communicating, and when they want the school to take in fellows and just look at the wonders that fellows can do in their classrooms. And of course, when we get assigned that classrooms becomes a Teach for India classroom. So Teach for India deals in English, SST, science, and maths. These are the four academic areas that we deal in. Other than that, English, Hindi, and Sanskrit are taught by government teachers only. And to answer the question as to why they would let us do it, and like because they might be assigned and assigned, they might have been assigned that classroom before, and now it would be taken away and given to fellows. I think it's just one section in a grade. Okay, like in my school, we have Teach for India in first to sixth, one section in each class, and then in 10th. And this is the last year these kids, my kids, will have Teach for India for them, and then they would graduate and they would go to 11th. And these kids who are in sixth right now, they would get Teach for India fellows till they are passing out. from 10th, of course. And I think it's not so much about them giving up and, agreeing to, oh, we don't want to give our class and why are fellows coming in, we want to teach. I think they understand that when a classroom becomes a teach for India classroom, it has so much more potential. And while you said that a lot of government teachers are sometimes low on motivation and they are hesitant and they are reluctant, I have seen wonders happening in my school when government teachers came into our classrooms. They were quite motivated and they would say things like, we also want to learn this from you. How do you do it? We also want to learn this. We also want to have these classroom management strategies, these culture management strategies that you have in place. So it's more about cooperation. It's not to say that when it becomes a teach for India classroom, we don't have any intervention. When we the One of the first things that we do at Teach for India is stakeholder relationship building. So we believe in working for the kids with everyone who's present in the system, be it the HOS, the head of the school, be it teachers, be it anyone else whose parents, siblings, everyone. We believe in bringing them all together because ultimately they are related to the child and the child's learning is going to be impacted by them. So whenever we are doing something in the classroom, we are always making sure that our teachers are well informed, that they are on board with this. And it has never been of the sort that we have done anything in isolation. We have never done anything in isolation. We always do it with the teachers, and I think that is why they also accept down the line. Yes, of course, there are challenges. There are challenges in the same way that I faced from my father. Those challenges are always there, and I think those people are always there in the system wherever you go. But they come around when you also show that you are interested in building that kind of a relationship, and when they see what vision you have, what kind of an impact you are trying to
Well, you are impacting teachers as well as the students.
make.
It's
Maybe.
really nice when they see your zeal and your enthusiasm. So it must have been really motivating for them too. And if you said that there's one section allotted to teach for India, and other sections must be they must be yearning to get taught by you.
Yeah. That happens a lot of times. Again, this brings me to a wonderful point of when our school teachers really asked us for help, because a lot of teachers, when we say they are low on motivation, it's not so much about the motivation, I think it's more about the fact that they are overburdened with admin work. And while I also used to feel the same, now that I've been working in the system for a year, I can see the amount of work that they have apart from teaching, and the amount of sections that they have been given, and just the amount of admin work and other stuff that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's when they approached us as fellows and they said, can you also teach non-teach for India classrooms? We need your help. We need Because we need your time and we need the energy, and we are really overburdened with this. So during the time when teachers had COVID vaccination duties, we were managing a lot of non-teach for India classrooms and we were teaching them also. And that is again that brings us to the point, that is why, as to how they accept us. They accept us because of, I think, the kind of relationship building that is happening from both the sides. It's us also learning a lot of things from them, because when we say that conventional teaching is not happening, but perhaps a lot of new methods of teaching are conventional methods that have been given a new twist, a new side to it. So, and also just the fact that they're very hospitable. So, a lot of parties that happen at school, we are so welcome in all of the parties. So, and everything that happens in school, perhaps, even if it's teachers' day celebration or anything else, I think that's how we work as a team. Ultimately, the job is the same. The government teacher is also working towards eliminating education inequity for students who cannot afford um, education, um, quality education, and also we are also working towards the same vision, is to make it attainable for everyone who deserves it, be it uh, yeah.
And it's wonderful that you have such a healthy and fun work
Yeah,
environment space. So, what you would like to say if there's anyone watching who wish to be a Teach for India fellow?
go for
Any
it.
tips for them, and how you apply, how are you placed?
Okay. Okay, that's a good question. So last night only somebody asked me the same question. One of my volunteers, so I was having a deja vu moment with them. So if first of all, if you want to be a Teach for India fellow, be very very clear about if you really want to be one, because it's a 2 year commitment. And when it's saying it's a 2 year commitment, just know that nobody's going to force you to it, but students look up to you, and students are waiting for their didis and bhaiyas to come into the classroom, and they eagerly wait for the new didis and bhaiyas to come in every year. And I think when we are dedicating so much time, 2 years is a lot of time to work towards a single vision. And I think when you're dedicating yourself to it, please do it full heartedly and go for it. I mean, don't ever doubt it. And second of all, please go to the website. I mean, everything's there, the vision, the data, and how you can apply. So basically, there's application rounds for a single cohort of fellows, for like a particular batch of fellows. There would be, I guess, around 3 to 4 rounds of applications, right? So you can select which one you want to apply, which dates are suiting you. Then, of course, it's going to so you have to be a graduate, okay, to apply for the Teach for India fellow. Before that, you can be a volunteer. So you can be volunteer even if you're in school, if you're even if you're in 12th grade and you want to teach a 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade class, that you can do. But for a fellow, you have to be a graduate. And then you enter your details, your scores and everything, and then there's a section where you have to write essays building on your experiences that you have had. And so basically experiences, your work experience, your professional experiences, and anything that you have encountered in the social sector, or what kinds of goals that you have in life. It's just to check all of that. So all those essays, and after the essay round, the application round gets done. If they are not sure as to what you've written in the application or the essays, sometimes it's like some answers are vague, or sometimes you're not able to understand what the other person is trying to say in a written format. You get a phone interview, and sometimes you don't, you directly make it to the assessment center round. Now the assessment center round comprises of you actually having a full group discussion round, personal interview round, an online test based on a little bit of data and all of that. It's not very difficult, but yeah, just to check that you're able to analyze data and make informed decisions. And yeah, a short role play kind of a thing wherein you'll have to teach, and also like 4 to 5 minutes. So mine happened online, so I had to submit a video and a lesson plan for it. So I did that. It was a 4 minute video about prepositions that I taught, and recorded it on Zoom and then uploaded it. And once all of this is done, you wait for the results, and they also don't take much time to reveal the results. They let you know in like maximum 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, that is the entire process. It might seem strenuous and long, but honestly, it's I think it's everything you'd be able to understand that what the fellowship is of once you start applying for it.
Thank you so much for briefing us about the process.
Yeah.
Lastly, I would like to ask that what are your future plans like after this fellowship ends?
Oh,
Have
you
you
are
given
giving me
any thought?
existential crisis. You yourself you
So
were having
sorry.
crisis a minute ago, saying that I'm a graduate student and we are so confused and all of that, and now you gave me the same kind of existential crisis. Um, if I have to really put down a few options that I have in my mind as of now, because at Teach for India, we have a lot of opportunities as fellows to leverage for ourselves, and not just for the kids. For the kids, we do a lot of things and there are a lot of opportunities, but for us also. So we are also growing as individuals. We are imparting a lot of, we are making a lot of impact while we ourselves are getting impacted every day. So I think some of the things that I've explored as a teacher in a fellow is teacher training. So I've worked with young minds, I've worked with young teachers, um, in different setups, and I think that is something that is really exciting to me, because again, I can't be in every classroom. I'm a Teacher India fellow in just this classroom, but if I work with a group of teachers, I get to impact so many more kids rather than just working with one classroom or two classrooms. So that is something that really excites me, just the amount of impact that one can make. And I think teaching is fun with adults also. I've worked with teachers, so it's very it's fun. It's fun that way. Sometimes the things that you were saying about the chat box and all that doesn't happen. It's very rigorous. It's very cerebral that way. So it's stimulating intellectually for us. So teacher training is one. Teaching also, like if like I would never say that I don't want to be a teacher anymore. I really do look forward to being a teacher, and I'm really open to the idea of being a teacher. But yeah, in the social sector. So I'm very much clear about the fact that whatever I do, even if it's a corporate job, a part of it has to have the human aspect to it, the giving back to the society aspect to it. So I don't think I can entirely get out of this sector now. I am all in it, and I, even with all the ups and downs, the roller coaster ride, I quite enjoy it. So I would love to be on it all the time. Um, Apart from that, I guess, yeah, these are two things that I'm looking out for. And maybe as and when I gain more experience, because there's another whole year left for me to learn throughout the fellowship, I would know of more options. But yeah, I'm working. I would like to work in the education sector that is also a part of the social sector.
So, wish you all the luck for your future endeavors, and we hope that you continue doing this noble work and impacting bright minds and making the teaching learning so fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great interacting and amazing questions. I mean, I you just gave me a lot of nostalgia and a really nice way to reflect on the kind of journey I have had. I also didn't realize the kind of learnings I've had till now, but your questions really provoked me to think, and wow, it has been lovely.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was awe-inspiring to hear from you. And as we have come to end of this lovely evening, before winding up, it's an absolute delight to deliver the vote of thanks on the behalf of the organizing committee to you who spared your time with us today. And it was really enlightening. We interviewed a Teach for India for the first fellow for the first time, and it was really nice. I didn't have much. I just had a vague idea about it, so it's really fun. And even I guess I'm shortlisted in the first round, and there's assessment test waiting for me as well. Let's see what happens.
Oh,
And yeah,
that's nice. Congratulations and all the very best. Please feel free to take any tips and help whenever
yeah,
you
sure.
need.
I'll connect with you
Yeah.
more later
And
as
it
well.
was an absolute delight to have this session with you and to be able to reach so many young girls and so many young minds who wish to work in the education sector or who would want to work in any other sector, but perhaps who might be looking out for individuals from from a particular sector. And I think it was great. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to interact with you.
It
Yeah,
was our pleasure, ma'am. We are truly obliged. Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.